Hello everyone, welcome to another English language episode of Futucast. Why English? Why not English? My name is Isa Krauti. I'll be your host for this episode once again. This episode is sponsored by the Technology Academy Finland, and here's a short text by our sponsor. The Millennium Technology Prize is a preeminent €1 million award focused on technological innovations for a better life. Awarded by the Technology Academy Finland, the prize also positions Finland as a global leader in cutting-edge technology and innovation. The President of Finland serves as the patron of the prize. The prize celebrates its 20th anniversary this year and will be awarded next in October 2024 in Finland. I learned yesterday that in the 90s, I think the first winner of the award was Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of the World Wide Web. Okay, without further ado, let's go into the episode itself. Welcome to the studio from KONE, Kristiina Saaristo. Welcome to the studio.
Hello. Thank you very much for being able to inviting me here. So my name is Kristiina Saaristo. I'm working as a KONE as a senior talent acquisition specialist. So basically hiring new talent to KONE. And I've been working in the recruitment area for 20 plus years. And majority of the time I've been hiring for the tech roles and also international talent. So technology and international talent is very close to my heart.
Fantastic. Welcome. And then we have Nanna Alaviuhkola from ABB. Welcome to the studio.
Hello, everyone. And I'm thrilled to be here today. And thank you for the invitation. My name is Nanna Alaviuhkola. In my role, I'm overseeing ABB divisions, marine and ports, global recruiting and connecting top talent with the future technologies that are shaping marine industry and ports operations.
Nice. Welcome to the studio. And then finally, we have Samuli Kivilehto from Metso. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. So my name is Samuli Kivilehto. I'm representing Metso and I'm leading the global talent and development team. My team is responsible for a variety of things, to begin with the corporate leadership development, then obviously talent management initiatives, talent acquisition across the globe, D&I topics, global well-being initiatives, employee engagement surveys, a few to mention. So it's a lot of exciting stuff, which my team is responsible for. Obviously, enabling the growth of our current employees and future employees.
Yeah.
And ultimately enabling the growth of the business.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome to the studio, everybody. Just to start with, so just to set the scene, we're going to talk about, I think, foreign skilled labor, hiring people from abroad to work at your company, more or less, in plain words. And just to sort of set the scene and set the context, what does your company do and how big is this question to you? How big a part of your hiring potential is not just Finland, but the world itself? If you want to start, Kristiina.
Yeah. So KONE is a big global company and one of our and diversity is very much embedded to our business and in our culture. And actually cultural diversity is one of our diversity targets as well. So it's very important topic for us and we very strongly feel that widening the talent pool to the international talents, it's nothing but positive thing. It has not been nothing but positive thing for us. So we very much believe in diversity in that area as well.
Mm. What about Nanna?
Yeah, like Kristiina mentioned, so ABB is a huge corporate. We have 120,000 employees around the world, and in Finland we have approximately 2,000 people. And local and global recruiting is very important for us, and looking for talented people and kind of that diversity aspect is one of our top HR priorities that is really embedded to our business and connected to the business. And I'm leading the global recruiting, so meaning that I'm not actually looking for local talents. Of course, I'm looking for also local talents, but more in broad aspect. We have 27 locations in marine and ports, so I'm kind of aiming to hire people to global positions and kind of being able to stay with their families and with their close ones. And then we offer short and long-term assignments into different countries so that we are able to utilize that diversity aspect and really kind of make people to grow and kind of be empowered about the global mobility.
And then finally, what about you?
Well, like ABB and KONE, Metso is also a truly international company. You know, we're across the globe in 50 different countries with 1,700 employees, or Metsonites, like we call ourselves. And actually, the starting point is already that 84% of our Metsonites are non-Finnish to begin with. So that's the starting point. We're truly global. And personally, for me, it doesn't really matter where that talent is coming from. Ultimately, we are looking for the most suitable, best talent, making sure that we can actually add business value. So for me, that question is sort of a secondary, that what's the role of international recruitment? Because actually it is. The market is totally global nowadays. Majority of our hiring, we're not necessarily looking for a particular location. We're trying to identify talent from a very wide range of different locations or backgrounds. It could be on a global scale, like Nanna said. Also at ABB, what you're doing on a global hiring, it could be on a regional level, that we're looking for certain regional competence, or it could be even on a country level where we're looking at talent for various different locations. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's probably the starting point.
Yeah. No, it's and on some sense it's very obvious. Obviously, there's 5.5 million people here. If you compare that with the 8 billion of the rest of the world, obviously there's more potential out there. There's a huge amount of people. So in that sense, it's obvious. But do you have any specific examples of maybe some cases where, for example, I heard this guy from another company asked him the same question, like, do you have any examples of this to sort of give some perspective to people who don't work with this, like recruiting and HR and everything? And he said, like, and we deal with a lot of stuff in our company. And for example, in metallurgy, there's no one in Finland who knows metallurgy on that level. Do you have any examples like this from your own companies?
If I can pick on that, because metallurgists is of course part of our business. That's because right. we're serving the metals refining and now we'll see minerals processing industries. So that's a very good example, and that's a very niche skill to begin with. Those people doesn't really exist, and when they exist, of course they can exist anywhere in the world. And a concrete example I can give you, we have a research center here in Finland, in Pori, which is not necessarily nothing against Pori again, but it might not be the most attractive location domestically to begin with. So if you're trying to find someone from Finland to move to Pori, we're already probably facing quite a lot of challenges.
As a Finn, you
can relate to that.
A little bit, yeah. I'm sure I can relate a little bit to
Again,
that,
nothing against Pori.
Nothing
it's a
against
beautiful
Pori.
city, to be honest. But you see the point. And then, this is a good example where we're forced to go also international.
Yeah.
We need to look for that talent across the globe. And we're of course trying to convince that individual to move to Pori and succeed with us in Finland. But that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
But simply we don't have that talent necessarily in Finland to a large extent. And then if we would be able to even identify that locally, it would be a challenge for us to get that person potentially working in that specific location.
Yeah, I so much agree with you. And at ABB, we are not only looking for like electrical engineers, we are looking for experience about fuel cells or batteries or onshore charging systems. And those people might not just exist in Finland. So we need to really look for global people, and kind of that it's much easier to convince them for example, if they are in Holland or if they are in Sweden or in US, to convince them maybe to join in one of our offices there and kind of work in a global setting, and then kind of be able to get connected with a team. And of course, we use a lot of face-to-face meetings, but of course, the main work happens in teams. But I think that it is also a challenge for applicants because, or the candidates, how do you want to say? Since if there is like applications for that positions, so there is usually either just few, so we need to source people globally, or there is a lot of applications. And usually it's very hard to compile that really great CV, and kind of that I advise every single person who is applying for a job to, if they write on CV, just to write a little description about the company they are working for, just to get an impression that's where they work for. Because of course we know KONE, Metso, Johnson & Johnson, that they are global companies, but if you work for some little company, so it's good to kind of address in the CV that what is the kind of the revenue, what is the volume of the company, so that we are able to kind of examine that what is the scope that the person, or what kind of skills or experiences the person might have.
Yeah. What about you, Kristiina? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I've been during my KONE career hiring for KONE Technology and Innovation organization, and we hire quite a lot of very senior technical experts and those kind of competencies where all the other companies in Finland are looking as well. So the competition is really fierce. And sometimes it happens that we find out that it's a bit of a easy and less competitive to hire the candidate abroad, to find the talent abroad, instead of start hiring people within Finland and convince them to kind of join our certain locations as well. But then we also have quite a lot of candidates we hire to Finland are our current employees in other KONE countries. So we do these kind of internal competence transfer. So sometimes instead of looking for an external candidate abroad, we look internally in KONE and find a great talent, for instance, from our India R&D centers. So that kind of internal candidate is relocating to Finland. They already know the company, they have visited Finland, they know the culture, many of them love the culture and want to join us in Finland, and some of them stay here for a longer period of time, and some people from our other R&Ds come to Finland to short period of time, 6 months, couple of years or so on. So that's what we do as well if we don't find candidates in Finland externally.
Interesting. Nanna, you said something that reminded me of a question. You said that it's easier to convince a Swede or a Dutch person or an American to stay in their local countries, stay in your local offices over there. Does it really matter anymore where they live if they work at your company? Because I know friends who work remotely, they work from another country, they go to the office. Even if they work in the same country, they go to the office 1 day a week. Does it even matter anymore? What do you think?
I think it actually does matter, because it's all about the diversity and inclusion, and especially the inclusion. So people want to get connected. And actually at ABB, we don't have such like a remote positions, because that would mean that the person is alone somewhere in the forest. And of course, it might be beneficial for the person, but then it kind of doesn't enable that person's growth in his career and doesn't enable the teamwork. And actually, teamwork is really essential. Even though that you work through teams, so you need to get connected with the local office. So we work in a hybrid model, but in every single country or every single office, we have these hosting managers that are kind of responsible of the person's well-being and kind of that how that person is connected to the office or to the local colleagues. The actual colleagues or team members might be somewhere around the globe, but just that you are connected to the firm and you understand our values and how we work in a daily setting. So that you are able to kind of to be seen. And I think that it hinders that person's career hugely if you are not known personally in the company.
Do you have a take on this?
Absolutely agree with Nanna there, and of course for all of us, employee engagement is key. And if we have people in a very remote locations or working purely from their home office, it has an impact on the employee engagement and the internal collaboration and so forth. And especially after the pandemic, of course, many companies, Metso as well, were trying to encourage people to also, work hybrid, but to be at the office, regularly as well, because that clearly has an impact on the employee engagement and the well-being of our employees. But to your original question, obviously it depends really on the role itself as well. Giving you the example of Pori, the research center, there's also laboratory. You need to be there physically. You need to be conducting your work in a specific environment, location, or setting. But then again, it could be different roles, sales roles. It could be something else, more of a white collar work, which can be completed very flexibly. Not tied into a specific location. So.
Yes,
just to set the scene a bit.
Yeah. I totally agree with Samuli. We have a similar kind of a setting at KONE. So some of the roles, like we have our big laboratories for instance, in Finland, in Hyvinkää, and some of the work requires that in order you to succeed in your job, you need to go there and be in the laboratory certain amount of time. But then we also have people who have such roles that you can work remotely a bit more easier, for the new hire employees and somebody who has relocated to Finland and joined the company as a new hire, then it might be challenging. That's when we encourage people coming to the office, getting to know each other, getting to know the work culture of our company and so on. But once you get to know people, and if your role is such, then there is also this kind of a freedom of not coming to the office 5 days a week, basically. So I think it's more important kind of reaching the target of your job than where you physically are every day.
Sure. Okay. Say you're going to hire someone, or you're looking for a position to be filled in. For you, it's some elevator expert. For me, it's some electrical expert. And for you, it's a metal expert somewhere. You need to find the best person in the world. How do you start finding this person, and how do you go about it?
First of all, I could comment from Metso's side. We've invested quite a lot of time and effort on what we call inclusive talent acquisition practices. Really meaning basically that, we educate our managers across the globe, ensuring that we do, non-biased decisions when hiring. We look at the talent as broadly as possible. We all know this, and you all have also initiatives around that. But I think it really starts from there. Making sure that our managers are, open-minded. We don't have a fixed mindset of, trying to look for someone who's replicated for another person that's already in the team, but really having that diverse talent, like you said, Kristiina, in the beginning. So that's the starting point. And that's the kind of a mindset we need to have within the whole organization to think broadly, challenge ourselves, go a little bit outside of the, comfort zone in a sense. Because it's easy to be with people who are alike. Same nationality, language, background, etc. But really, if we want to advance the diversity of thought at the end of the day, we need to have different backgrounds. And it starts from there. The second piece at Metso, what we've been doing is investing in internal capability of talent sourcing. You guys are the experts in talent acquisition, and you see you nodding there, but really making sure that we do have that internal competence in-house, who can actually identify these talents across the globe, start building those talent pipelines from the external market, engaging with that talent, etc. One, it's more effective. It has a direct impact on our employer brand when we're doing that internally. And obviously, we do a lot of cost savings because we're not so dependent on external headhunters, for example. So those would be the two main things that I would mention from my side.
Okay. What about you, Nanna? How do you go about this?
Yeah, so much agree with Samuli. Very similar recruitment processes, and from the kind of the practical side of the work. So at ABB, we have really like internal embedded sourcing, or how do you call it, headhunting. So we are also trying to avoid external headhunters. And just due to that, our business is so unique. So we feel like that our talent acquisition team really understands the business and the challenges that we have, and we know our team structure, so we are much more able to build up the capabilities in the team and kind of make them competitive and successful when it comes to the technology and new innovations. And kind of what we do daily is that we build up talent pools. So we create those experts or specialists with the certain skills and education. And then when it comes time that we are looking for that kind of role, so we start connecting those people in our talent pools. And people are usually very kind of, or people usually are very feeling surprised and welcome if we connect them. And usually when you connect at kind of from ABB, so they are usually interested and about the possibility joining in, and they want to know kind of in more detail about the work and the kind of the setup. And I think that it basically begins like from the discussion with the hiring managers, what we are actually looking for. And then it comes to the job description that we publish. So many people kind of very shortly review the job description. But I advise that it's very important to actually read it through. What kind of capabilities you have for the role. And I'm a little bit concerned kind of that when it comes to, for example, to AI and having those team interviews, and people are actually able to kind of review the questions through AI, so that we really focus on the kind of the person's assessment, what kind of experiences that person have, and we always try to challenge that person during the interviews that what are the actual the kind of the capabilities that person have. And Kristiina just mentioned the internal recruitment, so we utilize that a lot at ABB. We don't have like actual promotions, so everybody needs to apply for the next level job. So that actually encourages people to actively look for new roles and kind of grow in their careers. And of course, it needs that the person is seeking active feedback from the managers and the team members that are working fit and work. And then I have noticed that people who are already in Finland and who are brought by other companies, for example, maybe KONE, so actually they are not so attached to, sorry to say, Kristiina, to KONE. So what I have noticed that after 1 year or 2 years, so they are actively looking for a new job. And then it's very easy, for example, for ABB to just pick up those persons from the local talent pool, because they are already in our society, and they have maybe their children in the daycare, and they know how to operate inside Finland. So I think that is kind of the aspect that the companies might not be looking, especially smaller companies, because recruiting is very expensive if you do the kind of the wrong decision and hire somebody who is not kind of for a long term.
Right. Kristiina, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, on top of what you already said, I could perhaps add on top of the sourcing and having the professional talent acquisition organization and recruiters in place in the company, we also use quite a lot of employee referrals, because great people usually know great people. And especially in Finland, it is a small country. And we encourage our people to recommend their colleagues in their previous companies, and then we reward our employees if we hire somebody that they have recommended, instead of all the time big money to the headhunters.
What do they get? Do you want to say?
I'm not telling
Okay,
you the number. It depends on the level of the role and so on. But I think it's a good encouragement for our employees to get involved in finding the talent.
It's not like a T-shirt. They actually get something like good.
They get money.
Okay.
They get money.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have a great hiring manager. So at KONE, we also have quite a lot of diverse managers in all levels of the organization. So there are opportunities for an international talent to really go up in the organization as well. Nothing is blocking them. And then these people usually have great international networks in place. So sometimes it happens that we hire somebody who used to work in 2 or 3 other countries previously, and they know great people from their previous companies, and they give a call to those people that, hey, Finland is a great country, and KONE is a great company, would you like to join, would you like to come and see, and so on. So I think that's something that it's not only HR's or recruiters' job to attract the talent, it's all our business at KONE.
Yeah. What about the onboarding process? How is that like for people who come from a very diverse background and come to a new country, new culture, new types of people, new company? And also what you said about the, if you want to, if it fits your answer, you're welcome to talk about what you talked about, like the commitment level of employees. At least in like my generation, I remember I have a weird job, so I'm not comparing my job to anyone's, but what I've heard from business school or people who went to business school is that like working culture has changed significantly. It's not uncommon for workers to not be very committed to a single company. You're kind of assumed to change employers every couple or 3 years. That seems to be the norm for people in my generation or lower. So that's a long premise to a small question, but do you want to pick that up from there? Do you even remember my question?
I'm not sure, but I'll answer you. No, but I think you're right there. Of course, the society has changed a lot, and different generations have different expectations from an employment and from employer perspective as well. So it's definitely different than it used to be like even 15 or 20 years ago. We don't necessarily see people coming in as a graduate and doing their whole career in one single company like in the past. So that's for sure. One thing which I think is extremely important is obviously what probably all of us in our companies are measuring is the employee engagement. Really making sure that our people are engaged. We know, we measure that, we collect the feedback on a regular basis, and we can address those challenges, because this is so tightly connected to the retention of those talents at the end of the day. If we hire someone, that we can actually make sure that they grow, that we retain them, and they feel that they want to be part of our story. They want to be the Metsonites in Metso for a longer time. So I think that's crucial, making sure that we have that in place. It's actually interesting. We've been looking at the correlation between our employee engagement scores to our customer satisfaction scores. And they go hand in hand. We've been growing now since Metso and Outotec merger in 2020. We've been growing our employee engagement every single quarter, basically. At the same time, the customer satisfaction, which we're also measuring regularly with our NPS, growing in a similar fashion. It's quite and this is of course in theory, you can read about it, but it's actually very fascinating to see that it happens in real life. And then we can combine also our profitability there, which actually is a third element, which is growing in a similar fashion. And what we found from our own sort of an investigation when we're looking at the customer satisfaction data as well as the employee engagement data, one of the biggest correlation was actually with diversity and inclusion. When people felt that they're treated as they are, that the environment is inclusive, it has a significant correlation actually with the customer satisfaction. So I'm now going a little bit, beyond your original question, but I think it's part of ultimately on the onboarding, making sure that people feel comfortable, they feel that they're part of the company and the culture, they're being respected, their voice is being heard. That's when they stay.
Yeah.
And I have to add there that we feel, and we have noticed very much the same. And then we also notice that the more engaged people are and more diverse the teams are, the more there are innovation, of course, as well. And there are studies that prove definitely that. So we need people with different background, different education, different ways of working and to get together in order to be also going forward one of the most innovative companies in the world. And what comes to the onboarding, it is important for all of the employees, but I feel that especially for a candidate who moves to Finland, who doesn't know the country, so we have a quite extensive support available. So in the offer stage, support material, this is Finland, living and working in Finland, this is the society in Finland. So we try to give as much information to the candidate as possible so that he or she can then evaluate our offer, that do I really want to come to Finland? Do I want to live here? Is this the country I want to spend quite a few years in? And then we also have an external vendor, relocation vendor, who is supporting with all the practicalities like residence permit, opening the bank account, getting apartment in Finland. So we want to buy this kind of a service for our candidates so that they feel comfortable when they come to Finland and somebody is advising them. And then of course we also have language courses available, Finnish language, if they feel like they want to learn more about Finland and Finnish language. And then we are partners in Helsinki City's spouse program as well. So we want to contribute to the fact that it's not always easy for the spouses to be in Finland. So their spouse get a job in Finland, the whole family moves to Finland, and sometimes this kind of integration takes time. And if you join a new company in a new country, you get the workplace, you get work friends, you get familiar with the society, but then sometimes the family needs a bit more support, especially the spouse.
Yeah. Nanna, anything to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking, well, of course, we are all corporate, so we have these corporate level onboardings and local onboardings. And I think onboarding, besides foreign employees, are especially important for new joiners, like young new joiners, because they might be in their first job and don't actually know what they are doing. And I think that is a key how to kind of engage them to the organization and kind of get them started. And if there is something that goes wrong, so like the new generations, so they are very fast to leave. And kind of that what I have noticed with the young generations that we need to also address that during the onboarding, so we cannot give like all the answers of it, kind of to the problems. There will be always problems, just that you need to, as a person, to be equipped with certain resilience and with the ability to solve problems. And that is why we also focus on cognitive diversity while recruiting. So we want to find people with different kind of cognitive abilities to be able to address problems and be innovative and creative and kind of courageous to kind of address or express how they feel or what are their thoughts. And kind of that people want to fit in. And we, of course, want people to fit in, but also we want people to be courageous. And because we are a technology company and technology is embedded to our DNA. But if we talk about like a marine technology and ports operations, so for example, in our ports business, so we had like 7 AI processes even before AI was actually named as AI. So there is a lot of possibilities in the future if we talk about kind of how to, for example, do retrofitting to the vessels and kind of that how we make kind of this world as a net zero with the carbon oxide emissions or whatnot. So we need to have these people with the kind of that they have independence and courage to tell about their ideas and not just to kind of fit in as they are.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I comment one more thing on the onboarding piece? I think what you said, Kristiina, also there is for me at least, one thing is, of course, how do you onboard people to the job itself? But if we're talking about international talent relocating to Finland, even more important is the integration to the society. And this is the key thing. And you said that there's a lot of research, and in my opinion as well, in most of the cases, people leaving Finland is due to the spouses, not getting a job, not integrating to the society. And this is so critical that from three different perspectives, what can I do as an individual? What can I do in my daily life that, I make you feel comfortable being here, that you integrate, I take you along in different communities, whether it's hobbies, whether it's whatever. The second is what can we do as organizations all together? How can we actually arrange, again, within our organizations, elements where we actually invite spouses or families, we get together, we get people connected so that they feel welcomed, so that they start integrating into the society. And then the third level is of course, how do we build on a societal level processes and supportive actions to make this happen so that the foreign talent feels welcomed actually and actually can work here in a decent manner. So just wanted to conclude that, of course, onboarding question.
Yeah, in almost every single one of your answers, not literally every single one, but most of your answers, you've mentioned diversity and inclusion. And fair enough, like it would be, I guess, more surprising if you didn't mention it a single time than if you do. And it makes sense. I mean, obviously, it's a very timely topic. It's very relevant for, I guess, all of you, for all of us, and also for a company to do so. Like if you're an existing employee or a new employee, like it takes effort and energy and deliberate action sometimes to get out of your comfort zone and get used to things you haven't been used to before. So it makes sense. But I want to get beyond those words. What does that actually mean? For example, you said a lot of the employee engagement and satisfaction in your companies. Customer satisfaction also, yes. But the one of the main things that you've been sort of researching or that you found was the fact that like employees are satisfied with the level of diversity or inclusion. So what does that mean? Like what are some of those things that cause that feeling or cause employees to have the sense of, okay, they care about me. I feel included.
Yeah. I think it all starts from the inclusive culture at the end of the day. We can have as much diverse organization, diverse backgrounds, but if we don't have that inclusive culture where we actually take into consideration the different backgrounds, the different elements of diversity, it doesn't really work. So it requires a culture where everyone feels that they're valued as they are, simply put, and they feel that their voice is being heard. They're not discriminated. If I look at our employee engagement data, we're in the top 5% of our benchmark industry data in diversity and inclusion. And our people are saying that they feel that they are treated as they are. They feel that their voice is being heard. And do that, I feel that people are ultimately engaged, as we can see from our data, for example. And it has an impact directly to the customer satisfaction and ultimately to the profitability of the organization. Because ultimately, that's why we are here, to be honest. We're all representing corporates. We want to make our customers succeed.
Yeah.
And at the same time, make it in a profitable way for ourselves.
And I have to add here that,
of course,
that the world is getting smaller and smaller, and you mentioned the younger generations a couple of times before, but what we have also noticed, and I know other companies have noticed as well, that the younger generations, they require companies to do things a bit differently, a bit different kinds of companies, also corporations. So younger generations feel that they want to fit in and they want all the people to be treated this kind of a equal way, and they don't understand discrimination. So they are very open and transparent about it, asking questions. How many nationalities do you employ? How is this stuff done in your company? So asking questions like, am I the what kind of a age ratio do you have in your company? Because they expect this kind of a open and diverse world. So I don't know if you have noticed that, but we definitely have.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree so much, yeah.
I'll make this question a bit more pointed, so it's a bit more incisive, like through an example. So I went out a few months ago, and after the night out, there was this food stand. These guys selling this sort of looked like a Middle Eastern Asian type of burrito or something. I don't know what it's called, but they were selling this. Looked pretty good. So me and a friend, we had one. And we started talking to the guy who was selling them. Young guy, looked Indian Pakistani kind of. He said he was from Pakistan. So I asked him, chit-chatted, and then I asked him what are you doing here? Didn't ask it that way, but basically asked him, what are you doing here? And he said, yeah, I study at Aalto. And then I said, Aalto, okay. And then somehow it came up, you're studying at Aalto and you're doing this on the side. And then he said, yeah, well, I've been trying to apply for jobs, but it's tough here. It's because I don't know Finnish. I can't speak Finnish. It's really, really hard for me to find any languages or any jobs. And at that moment, we kind of shared in the frustration of that's so why can't you find? English is good enough, right? Why can't we have more English speaking workplaces? And it's just a sort of relic of an old world where you have to learn Finnish. Aren't we sort of shooting ourselves in the leg here? It's only a language of 5.5 million people speak. But then I sat around and I thought about it for a while, and it's a really tough question. I don't even know if I have an answer. Some people, I wouldn't blame anyone for saying that, no, you know what, I think it's pretty important that we also protect the role of Finnish at the workplace. If you're born here, why? It would be nice if there are high-level workplaces where you can also speak Finnish. And I don't really have an answer to this. I wouldn't mind English at the workplace. I like English. I love English, actually. But it's a really tough question. And you can have both opinions with good faith. And so, yeah, how do you resolve this question? What do you think? Who wants to start?
I think that
you go. Yeah, go ahead.
The current economic situation in Finland is quite challenging. So there is many these first level jobs. So they have basically disappeared. Yeah. For example, from the banks or insurance companies, or they don't have these customer service positions anymore. So basically, what is required nowadays for someone to be in the first job position is a few years of experience. And the companies have downsized since I think the last autumn, and they have had change negotiations. And there is a lot of skilled people now on the market. And I think that at ABB, we rarely have a Finnish language requirement. Yeah. And when we have that, it's due to that we have some senior people in the team that doesn't necessarily speak English. Right. And they are, with that silent information, they are true professions that we need to kind of have to keep our wheels operating, especially in production. And they are very valuable employees for us, and we don't want to kind of change the balance there. But then we have other positions where there's no language requirements. And we cherish English language, and if it's spoken in an accent or not. I remember in my previous company being on a call with an Irish colleague. It was a local talent acquisition call, and this Irish colleague addressed that she feels a little bit embarrassed to speak up during the meetings because of her accent. And I was thinking about in that call that, hey, you are a native English speaker, and what about rest of us? So I think that you just need to have the courage. But also I think that foreign employees, it would be good to understand Finland's history. So we have immigrated like many years to US, to Sweden. And because we are only like nation like 5.6 million people. So we don't kind of assume that somebody speaks Finnish if we go abroad. So we have been needed study foreign languages for years. For example, when I was in high school, I studied beside Swedish and English, I studied German and French, and after that I studied Chinese. And I don't kind of expect people to speak Finnish to me, but I'm happy to speak Finnish back, of course, if somebody wants to learn Finnish. And I think it's important for immigrating or integrating to the society to be actually to understand some and know some words.
Yeah, good answer.
Fully agree with Nanna on that point, last point, definitely. Again, setting the scene a bit, if you think about Metso, 105 different nationalities across the globe. Only in Espoo, our headquarters, in Matinkylä, we have more than 50 nationalities. So that's, again, setting the scene. Do we really need Finnish language or not? In my opinion, would our business operate and function without Finnish language? Would it operate without English language?
Probably not.
No.
Exactly.
So it's pretty simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to Nanna's point, just adding on that, of course, if you come as an foreigner to Finland or any other country around the world, I would expect you to be curious, to know the culture, to integrate into society. For that reason, yes, I definitely encourage everyone to learn Finnish. But from a working perspective, for me, it's a little bit of a myth nowadays that you need to have Finnish language in order to succeed or even to get a job in Finland. Of course, there are certain positions where you would require that. But in the big scale, if you're looking at our international companies.
Yeah. I have to add here that KONE being global company, we have a very similar situation that Finnish is many times not a requirement. English is, because that's in many of our teams is the working language anyway. But thinking about the integration in Finland, nobody can integrate themselves. So I feel that in order people who have moved here from other countries and don't speak Finnish, in order them to learn Finnish, all of us need to take the responsibility of that as well. So I know great people who moved here, got a job, didn't speak any Finnish, were given chance to first use English, and then after a year or so, they are next to fluent, very well speaking Finnish. So it's about integrating to the society and given chance to practice your language. We cannot expect people to come here and learn Finnish just like that. I think we need to give people support and then speak Finnish with those people who want to learn Finnish. And then eventually, maybe in the beginning, the working language in the company, when a company hires first non-Finnish speaker, it might take some time that everyone needs to speak English, but eventually it can change that also. The new hire employee starts speaking Finnish, and that's, everyone's support is needed for that if the person is interested in learning the language.
What are some of the things or aspects about Finnish society or culture that usually come as a surprise or come as a challenge when it comes to integration? What are some of those things? It probably varies from people to people. But what would you say?
It varies a lot. I just had a discussion yesterday with one of my US-based colleague, and she was referring to the fact that it's so strange for me that I've learned actually that when I'm talking to Finnish people, when they don't say anything, they're actually reflecting, they're actually thinking, they're not being rude, but they need time. They're not like immediately responding. Like if I'm having a presentation, I'm a foreigner, and there's an audience in Teams, for example, it might be that everyone's silent and you're saying, am I saying something wrong?
Yeah.
Are they frustrated? But she was just saying yesterday that, she's learned that actually Finnish people typically, they need that time and space to reflect before they give their opinion or before they give their feedback. I think that's a very common, obvious thing, but still it's an eye-opener to hear that from a foreigner.
This reminds me of something I saw today, but I'll get to that maybe later. But go ahead. Keep.
Yeah, and I think it's also the feedback is that Finnish people are very nice and kind people, but it's very difficult to make friends. So there are, like for instance, I've lived abroad, and the country I moved, I was never left alone after work. So I was invited to my colleague's house and we went out for a drink, whereas in Finland people tend to leave the office, leave the work, go to their own homes, spend time with their families and children, and it's sometimes very difficult to find new friends in Finland. And the other topic I must address again is the spouse, who many families do not integrate here if the spouse does not find a job, because the society here is built in such way that usually both of the parents work if you have a family, and it can sometimes be quite a shocking if the spouse doesn't find a job or doesn't find his or her place in this country.
Yeah. Where were you, by the way?
I was in UK, so that was really easy country to be. So not a big culture shock, but it was like I was relatively young back in the time, 19 or 20, and it was heartwarming how welcomed I felt when I went there, because I was there alone. I didn't know anyone, and I went there for a job, for a totally new country at the age of 19 or 20. But I think culture here is a bit different many times. So I think it's call for action for all of us to also invite people, that all the new hire employees, and especially those how can you learn the culture of the new country if you are not included, if you are not invited, if you are not welcomed?
Yeah. Harking back to what I asked you earlier in this episode, but at the same time, look into the future. If it still matters that people are in the same country, in the same office, meeting real people in the flesh, do you think that there are any trends that are turning this current reality into something else in the future? Do you think physical presence will matter as much in the future as it does now? What do you think?
We can certainly see that it's changing. It's changing a lot, of course, due to the technology development. Pandemic, of course, accelerated all of this development. But it's a little bit, twofolded in a sense. What Nanna, you said also that we want people to be present. We want them to meet. We want them to be physically there to build that engagement and build those connections and really strengthen the internal collaboration. It's not the same if we're doing that only remotely. But I think, in my personal opinion, I think we need to continue making sure that we have people connecting in person, because that is truly needed for us as human beings. We need that belonging. We need those connections. But at the same time, it's already required from new joiners that there's hybrid working, possibilities. You're unable to hire people if you're not providing hybrid working possibilities. So that's a fact. So I think it's a bit of a balance, to be honest, but how I foresee that it's going more and more towards that we can be flexible, we can work from anywhere, but then there are certain moments when we want to be together. And when we are together, there's a certain reason for that as well, and we make the most out of it.
I can see it growing. Like when the pandemic started, everyone was working from home remotely, but since that's extended, so people don't necessarily want to work from home remotely. They want to work from other country remotely. When people go for a holiday, they want to travel to the holiday destination a couple of weeks before and work remotely. And regards to international talent, quite a few of our employees, when they have a holiday, they prefer going to their home country already in advance and working remotely from their home country and so on. So I think it has extended already at certain level that it's not working from home, it's working from anywhere you want. And then when you come to the office, like we discussed before this podcast, that it doesn't make sense if you go to the office and you are in Teams meeting back to back and then you go lunch alone when when you have time, but you really need to connect with your colleagues, and there has to be places and opportunities to innovate and connect, and sometimes you just need to reserve time for that. So when you go to the office, there is a schedule for that sitting together with your colleagues and with your team and spending the time wisely.
Yeah, so much agree. And I think that the kind of the work is also evolving. People are looking different kinds of ways of doing work. For example, like being and surfing in Bali like for 3 weeks and then working like really long days the next 3 weeks. And it's not anymore like this 9 to 5, like all year round. It's like that people are looking for experiences, and because the world is getting faster and faster, so people need to also find new ways to how to unwind.
Yeah.
Can I make a story here which came to my mind? And actually, my uncle used to do a career at ABB, like basically from graduation and then retiring. And I remember a couple of years ago when we met, and he's now been retired already for several years, but he said, yeah, when I retired, I really, realized how tired I was, during the working life. And he said, the biggest change was actually when we got these bloody laptops that you started, carrying that laptop with you at home.
Yeah.
And for me, that was an eye-opener because, well, obviously I've started when there wasn't necessarily, we didn't, bring our laptops with us, but we still had laptops and I started my career. But nowadays we have, in our back pockets, we have our mobile phone. It's everywhere you go, 24/7. So I think this also impacts on the fact that, how do people want to work? They want to have the flexibility because it's possible to work not from 9 to 5, but basically at any time, anywhere. And that leads to another discussion, of course, that how do we actually lead our work? But that's another topic.
It's another episode almost.
And
Yeah.
And well-being as well.
Yeah.
So people need people. So that's why it's very important to go to the office as well. And when you go there, you collaborate with other people and see people and innovate together as well.
Yes.
Yeah, share ideas.
Great. Thank you very much, Kristiina, Nanna, Samuli, for a fantastic conversation. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like to speak on still? This is your final chance to say something, if there's anything you have on your heart. But if not, that was it. And thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. See you next episode. Probably next week, right? I think next Monday. Yes. See ya.